Welcome back to Deep in the Heart of Texas 4-H, the official Texas 4-H podcast. This is episode 16, and we are talking about the agriculture and livestock project area. I have got some awesome guests with me today. How are you guys doing?
Great, thank you for asking.
Outstanding. Thanks, Callie.
Outstanding. Love that answer. Well, Billy and I are in the same town, and our weather's pretty nice right now. What about you, Paisley?
It's pretty muggy. It's been raining off and on, so not the best weather. A little bit humidity, but it's fine. Living through it.
Yeah, humidity is just part of it, right?
Absolutely.
Sweet. Well, I know who you are, but folks listening don't. So, y'all go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Paisley Grosky. I'm a junior at Riesel High School. I'm a Texas Youth Livestock Ambassador, and I serve in the Texas 4-H State Council team.
And I am Billy Zanolini. I'm a youth livestock specialist with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here today. Appreciate y'all taking some time to chat about the Ag and Livestock Project area. It is undoubtedly what 4-H was founded upon many years ago and still continues to be one of, if not our largest project area in 4-H, especially here in Texas. So it always has and always will mean something special to 4-H, right? And so, kind of diving farther into that, we've done this with the other project areas, and so diving farther into ag and livestock and what that actually looks like as far as the projects that are within that. Billy, as the specialist for agriculture and livestock, tell us about some of those projects that fall within that area.
Yes, I just want to fact check you a little bit, Callie, on the size of the Youth Livestock and Ag program. It is the largest. One of the things that 4-H has done is separated, like on the reporting, like beef cattle, swine, so on and so forth, to break us up to where each one of those things has to stand against other parts of the 4-H program. But if you put all livestock together, you're not going to be surprised. It is the biggest and the baddest, and it's not even close. And I'm hoping that my 4-H colleagues hear that. We have a good time going back and forth on that. But in terms of ag and livestock, I'm glad you asked because a lot of people would think that maybe the dog project falls under there, or rabbits or things related to plants. And so row crops and all that are very much part of what we do. We attack that in several different ways. I anticipate we'll talk about things like the Norman Borlaug Youth and Ag program later on in the show, but it's just agriculture touches so many parts of our 4-H program that it's really hard to kind of get your arms around everything we're doing with respect to youth livestock and ag.
Yeah, absolutely. It's become so broad. It's not just beef cattle, and I will make sure that our colleagues hear what you said there loud and clear. So because it's broad, there is a lot of overlap, right? We have ag and livestock, family, community health, leadership and citizenship, natural resources, and STEM. So within those, we have a wide array of projects that can overlap with some of our ag and livestock projects. What are some of the ways that those can intersect? And Paisley, feel free to jump in here too with some ways that your projects have kind of overlapped like that.
For me, interjections is really hard with livestock judging because it's always on top of something with District 8 Food Show. I am not an exhibitor of District 8 Food Show, but I have lots of team members that love to exhibit that project area. And I wish more people knew about it because, like Dr. Zanolini said, there's so much focus on livestock that it's hard to see the other project areas that are open, like food challenges and fashion show. So with livestock judging, when I'm trying to help out and work with other people, that overlaps, and it's really hard to try to do both, which obviously I'm going to pick livestock judging because that's the best event out there. You can fact check me on that. But overlapping is hard, but staying organized and trying to keep in mind which project area I focus on the most is easy.
Yeah, Callie, I think a busy girl is Paisley, and she's talking about like actual conflicts in her schedule. But in terms of overlap, yeah, that she's right. There's a lot there. But I think about like our colleague Derek Bruton, who heads up our STEM projects. There's very little, if anything, in agriculture that's not STEM related. And then also with respect to like Paisley, we took her to Australia. She's been lots of places with us in our program, and then she's doing great work in her county. All that's related to leadership. So then I think about Megan Duet, who is heading up that project area. So there's a lot of overlap between what we're doing in agriculture, but also in the leadership front and STEM. And then, we have a partnership with Dr. Julie Gardner with HEB stores where we're putting ambassadors like Paisley in stores, talking to people about where their food comes from and how eating beef or pork or however you work that into a healthy lifestyle. So then we connect again with foods and nutrition and healthy living. So agriculture really overlaps with everything. And that's what makes our job so fun is because you can build these connections with different parts of our program and outside of our program because agriculture is so essential to Texas and the world.
Absolutely. I didn't even think about it from that perspective. I was just thinking straight on the conflict part. But with all the project areas, livestock overlapping with leadership, going into nutrition, going into STEM, that's such a good way to think about it. And I definitely should have thought about that before I answered so quickly.
Hey, no, you brought up a good point too, because 4-Hers are always having to pick what they're going to do, prioritize what matters most to them. So you brought up a good point there on that. Okay, so we know the logo, we see it everywhere at livestock shows, on ambassador shirts. What is TYLA and how does it fit in here?
That's a great question because we have a branding problem, I guess, because we do have people that say, Texas Youth Livestock Ambassadors, just because the ambassador deal is so popular and so many people associated with that. But it's really Texas Youth Livestock and Ag. And so, the ambassador program, I should say plural, fall underneath that. And that would be the ones we primarily deal with at TYLA are livestock ambassadors, equine ambassadors, and poultry ambassadors. And so they all fall with underneath that. And then also, in that is our validation programs, quality counts, livestock project resources that are generated out of TYLA, and then also adding an urban ag program like Norman Borlaug Youth and Ag Program. So there, when you see that logo, there's really lots of things that are underneath it with regard to Texas Youth Livestock and Agriculture. I'm not picking on the kids that say Texas Youth Livestock Ambassador because they are youth and they are a livestock ambassador, but TYLA is Texas 4-H Youth Livestock and Agriculture.
I am guilty of calling TYLA the
You
Texas Youth
sure
Livestock
are,
Ambassador
Paisley, right out
Program.
the gate, and you're one of our best ambassadors.
I immediately caught that one quick, which I don't know why, because the equine and poultry girls, they show me up every time in the questions room. They're really smart, much smarter than me. And they're great. When I traveled to Australia and Canada, they taught me a lot. They absorb knowledge like no other. And there's other project areas, and livestock is the most popular. But when I'm working the booth with other ambassadors, it's great to have equine and poultry, and that's why we also have so many broad questions. And with branding, I think it's awesome how we can. We obviously Tyla needs a better name, which I love it, but I wish more people knew that livestock and equine and poultry are all the same, and that they need to have the same outlook, and everyone can know that it's not just livestock and it's equine and poultry with it.
Yeah, for sure. And that validation falls under that and a lot of resources and educational things. So yeah, it's way broader than just, that livestock ambassador program, like y'all said. But I think people can be confused on like where all that falls. And I have heard several kids call it the Texas Youth Livestock Ambassador Program. So we're just correcting them one at a time, right, Paisley?
Absolutely, I'm one of the few.
So, I'd love to hear more about those ambassador programs, really what the purpose of them is, how youth might can get involved in them, and then some of the opportunities once you're in the program.
Well, I can jump in there and say why we did them in the first place, and then I'd love for Paisley to kind of walk you through like where the rubber meets the road and how it
Yeah.
actually is executed at the county, state, national, international levels. But back to 2008, I'm not going to linger on this point too long, but we were at a point where we kind of maxed out our adult volunteers in the state. And Dr. Chris Bowman, which is now at Houston, the stock, Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, he was my graduate chair at the time at Texas A&M. Anyway, we were just kind of spitballing some ideas on how we could more effectively run our 4-H livestock programs. And we stumbled along some research that really showed us that novice and beginning youth really didn't look up to 45-year-old men or 35-year-old women. It really was a 15, 16-year-old girl or a 17-year-old boy. Those are the people that they were really looking up to. Those are the people they really wanted to learn from. So we definitely leaned into that idea. We created this program. The whole idea was to invest a tremendous amount of resources into students with a ton of upside when it came to ag and livestock, and then just really deploy them back to after some intense training, 3, 4 days, send them back to their county agent and put them to work, and then record that and track their progress through a reporting system. And it didn't take long. We started out as a multi-county program. It didn't take long to realize we were onto something, that those high-performing students, like a Paisley Grotsky, they were really interested in more information. They were hungry for it. They were also hungry for that leadership opportunity. So then they went back to their counties and they were just hitting home runs for us. And so then we go district wide 2009, we go statewide at Tech and A&M and 10. And then from there, things just kept just growing exponentially. We added Advocacy Academy, which is ag law, ag policy. We do it at the Capitol. We added equine ambassadors. We expanded to Texas A&M Kingsville. In 19, we had poultry. In 22, I skipped over going to Argentina and Uruguay in 2016, and back in 18, West Coast a couple times, East Coast. Paisley already mentioned we'd gone to Canada this past year, had been to Australia before that, got our eyes set on departing July 26th for Japan. So all those things just started from an idea of like, hey, let's give the kids some resources, turn them loose, see what happens. And sure enough, man, applications close April 15th, and we're going to have way more applications than we have spots. It's super competitive to get into our program now. That's livestock, equine, poultry. I can say the same for all of them now.
That's awesome. They're just such cool programs. Okay, Paisley, tell us about your experience and what you've done.
So I got into the TYLA program when I was 13. I was very, very young. I actually got into it because I was looking for another leadership position, and I contacted my county agent. That's step one. That's where you start. Contact your county extension agent. They'll lend you where to go. Applications are open. I applied. I got accepted to the Texas A&M livestock short course in 22. I had an absolute blast. Dr. Zanolini was the one person who told me I was not special when he gave us our tiger spill, which is great. I learned then that I need to take the next step in the ag industry and ask more questions, always stay curious, try to learn more. And the ambassador program has taught me so much. I've taken a new perspective on agriculture, especially from the global level, traveling to two out of state countries. And so, or out of the US is what I mean. But I've taken a new perspective of agriculture. I've definitely taken it back home. I've taught people around the state, in my district, and even in my county about how different agriculture can be and how I have even applied it to the sale yards, working at the Grosbeck sale barn and realizing how different they sell cattle, and they don't paint cattle anymore. They just take little paint sticks. But in Australia, they do it so differently. Like agriculture is so different, and going through the TYLA program, going to going to the short course, going to advocacy, then going to international trips is just so incredibly surreal that I get to be a part of this program and learn from it. And I just apply it to my daily life. And I do want to do a career in the ag industry. And I've taken so much knowledge from TYLA, and it has changed my perspective of agriculture so much.
Love that. What a testimony to the programs you got there.
That's great, but let me clean something up real quick because if I'm a listener out there and be like, why is Annalini telling kids they're not special? That seems kind of mean, right? But it's really goes back to kind of our culture, and that is a challenge culture. So when I would put the slide up that a kid's not special, because my kids at home, kids I interact with, our parents' jobs are to make kids feel special and unique and loved and all those different things. But we try to frame that you're not special in a way to help them understand of where they are and where they can go. and to truly be unique and make an impact, because that's what all the students are telling us they want to do. Regardless if they're going to be a dentist or whatever they're going to go into, they just want to make an impact. They want to do something meaningful. So what we try to do is show them kind of where they are. We give them some examples of some people that did some pretty extraordinary things in agriculture, and we say, well, like, look, here's where you can go. So I definitely wanted to clean up Paisley's point, but if you think that she dislikes me, she named a heifer after me this year. It was, I think, the
Keyword a
result.
heifer.
So, I mean, there's not a lot of people that have had heifers named after them. So I wore that as like a badge of honor. It's like, man, I mean, not many people get that. So if you think we're mean to these kids, we are for a minute, and then we spend the rest of our time building them up, opening pathways, and showing them what's possible.
Man, that's pretty big, Paisley.
I
Naming a
would
heifer
not
after him?
describe Dr. Zanolini as mean. He's strict in the best way possible. And that's another thing with TYLA. The relationships that you build with people, the connections you made are so great. And I've learned so much. I've met new people. I know how to interact on a better level. Communication is great. The relationships I made from TYLA are perfect. And Dr. Zanolini is a great example to teach me to shut my mouth sometimes and just ask better questions.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen a number of young people come in and come out of that program just like you said, excelling in ways that they wouldn't have before. So doing some great things there. Um, I also have my start in 4-H, not my start in 4-H, but professionally as a career, I have TOLA to thank for that. So I too owe credit to Billy for getting me on this 4-H journey here. So kind of going back to the
But Callie, not to
project.
interrupt, but you have not named a kid, cat, or anything after me at this point. So the impact, I'm still working on it. I got something to do. Like, you've challenged me. I'm gonna make an impact on you that there's some animal around you that's gonna get named after me, because now Paisley is set like that bar.
Well, I guess we'll have to see what animal that is.
Trendsetter.
Um, all
Now
right,
you're gonna lose
jumping.
your place, right? I tried to knock you off balance. Did you lose your question yet?
No,
Oh, good.
I know where I'm at. Do you?
No, I don't. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Follow it wherever you go,
It
host.
is a Monday, so little grace there.
Yeah, you good. Go ahead.
No, okay, so I want to jump back to the project area as a whole. So we've talked about, the livestock side and the ambassador programs. Then we also talked about how like dog show is part of it and agronomy. So things that very realistically can apply to these kids' futures. How are the projects in this area tangibly preparing these youth for whatever they do in their future?
Well, Paisley's, just to use her word, she's looking to build up her resume to have a career in agriculture, and she absolutely will, and she'll be a star. I mean, she's got a ton of upside to her. But like today, 3:31, we were planning the professional development series in the office here, and we're trying to identify some of our partners to lead an online Zoom with our ambassadors across the board to just share with them some strategies that they can use professionally to get a leg up as they work their way into college. Because a simple fact that we're really proud of is 99.7% of ambassadors complete an 4-year degree, which when we're talking over 1,200 students now, we don't miss much
Yeah.
on connecting kids to higher education. And the reason we do that is because we do things like career development series, we do things like professional development series. We identify industry leaders, we get them in front of those students, whether it's in person at a short course, or if it's on a study abroad, or it's on Zoom, like we're going to do. We're going to do what we can to provide, like you say, just tangible resources for them to reach out to and say, look, I really want to chase down this ag policy thing. Do you know who I can talk to? Well, yeah, sure. You need to talk to this person. But my passion's really water. Okay, well, then there's this person you can talk to. And is there an advisor that I could talk to up at Texas Tech? Well, yeah, you need to talk to Mariah Byers up there. She can set you up with a tour and all these things. So we really feel like we're a connection point to giving them help them with their pathway, their journey, because they're going wherever they're going to go. We just want to support them along the way. It's pretty simple.
Just to bounce off of that, as a livestock ambassador who focuses solely on livestock, I've taken so much knowledge from the TYLA program, and so many resources have been opened up to me. For example, I knew very little about reproduction going into the livestock program, and I know so much that I actually want to go into that for my future career. I've contacted many leaders and many stockyard, farm help, lots of embryologists that have helped me allow and that give me so much knowledge to get into that topic of research. And just TYLA has truly just opened up so much knowledge for me, and there's stuff that I didn't know about that I know so much about now, and I want to just continue to learn more. I'm very excited for what's ahead of me. I'm very excited to apply this to my future career and just what I'm going to be up to next day.
That's awesome. I love that professional development series that y'all do. I think that there's, like you said, such usable resources there, and it's a really great program. So we need to wrap things up here, but I really want to spend some time talking about the Norman Borlaug Youth and Ag program because it is undoubtedly one of the coolest things that we have going now. Fairly new. So y'all tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can jump in there. We're really proud of where that program is. To be honest, it was a pretty rocky start in that we were trying to launch that program initially, started developing it really in 2018, tried launching in 2020, and it was finally 2022 until we got it launched. But just to zoom out and just race up to about 30,000 foot, we're just trying to create better connections, better communication, better collaboration between promising rural ag kids like Paisley and their urban counterparts. So students that have the same type of upside, the same type of intelligence, the same type of drive, the same type of ambitions, just going in different directions, but they all want to solve problems. So we recruit our top 25 rural students that we have in our programs. And then we go into places like Harris County, so Houston, Texas. We partner with schools there to identify young urban talent that is not connected to agriculture. And this really goes back to our where we started this conversation, and that's the overlap with ag and things like STEM. STEM has really allowed us to recruit really, really bright students in urban Texas that I keep using the word, but just have a ton of upside to them in terms of what they can bring to their communities, what they can bring to their industries. And man, it just getting into urban Texas, finding those really, really bright kids and pairing them with our ambassadors and say, okay, you guys are going to work together for 6 months. We're going to be in College Station in November. We're going to plant some wheat together. We're going to go through professional development. We're doing team building. We're gonna do lots of ag-related things in November. But guess what? We're going to meet back up face to face in March at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and we're going to partner with NASA. We're going to take these problems that you're working on, which are food insecurity, water insecurity, land fragmentation, and greenhouse gas mitigation, and you take those issues, you put them through the NASA ideation model through using, this sounds super fancy, but the Human Performance Accelerator Lab is what these kids participate in. And they take their ideas for solving the problems that I mentioned, and then they come out of NASA at the end of March, or the end of their time in March, and they start crystallizing that solution to that problem. So teams equally divided between urban and rural are working on problems together. It's a beautiful thing. And so right now we're in our third cohort. We'll have those students come back to College Station in May. We're going to harvest the wheat that we planted. We're going to wrap up projects, but mostly those kids are going to get together. They're going to have a TED Talk like format capstone presentation, and they're going to stand shoulder to shoulder, about 4 kids per team, and they're going to stand in front of stakeholders, their peers, donors, and they're just going to say, here's a solution we have to these problems that are impacting Texas and the U.S. and the world, really. And on top of that, what they're developing along the way is not what we initially intended. We thought, look, they're going to come out and we're going to solve world hunger. It's going to be great. Like this program is going to solve world hunger, but that's not true. What is true though is we are giving them a crucial life skill, and that's sitting down at a table with somebody with a vastly different background and saying, look, you're not rural, I'm not urban. That's a problem in the middle of the table. Let's go work on that problem despite the differences of our background, and let's just work on that problem. And that's what they did the first two cohorts, and we're just getting better at it. If you would have seen the first, Paisley, if you would have shown up to the first Livestock Ambassador short course in Madison County in 2008, it was an absolute disaster. It was a mess. Like it was unorganized. Like it was pre Dottie, pre Kelly. Like it was a disaster, but we get better over time. So anyway, that's probably more than you needed. You're going to edit half of it, but the Borlaug program, it's cool just because it's different. It's about problem solving. It's about impact, and yeah. And then so some exciting news. That's breaking news is that we've been doing this. This is our third cohort in Harris County. We're expanding the program to include Bear County uh, next
Awesome.
fall. So 2026. We've always wanted it to grow. We always wanted it to be scalable. We'll be doing the program two separate cohorts, a Harris County based cohort and Bear County. We're
That's
fired up
awesome.
about it. It's crazy. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it.
Yeah, I have no idea how you guys have the bandwidth for that, but nonetheless, best wishes, and that's really awesome. This
Yeah,
program, like for lack of a better term, I just think it's so cool and applicable and real world, but also meeting high school kids where they're at in high school, you know? And I just really think y'all are doing some good stuff there. Yeah.
Absolutely. You hyped it up so much. I'm mad that the dates never work out for me. I've always wanted to do it. I applied my first year because the dates worked out, but this following years, the dates have never worked out for me. But all my friends that are involved with it have a great time, and it is such a great program. I heard the best things about it, and I bet you it is nothing short of it.
Okay, Billy, real quick, you said something about you were just joking, but back in 2008, Madison County, it was unorganized, blah, blah, blah. So that's where this whole ambassador idea got started. If there's someone listening right now and they say, you know, my kids aren't at the level to be in this competitive livestock, poultry, equine ambassador program at the state level, is there something that they could do with their local kids similar to this, but scaled down to their county level?
absolutely. And Paisley, I think, is given the answer of what she did. She went to her county extension agent. She said, I'm looking for leadership opportunities. And I think that's where you start. The thing about that I would add to that is humility. And what I know about Paisley is if that first opportunity would have been picking up manure in the ring at our county show, that's exactly what a Paisley would do. Um, and so for that person that's wanting to start moving in the direction of having a county-wide impact, I'm really proud. There's lots of counties that have instituted like county ambassadors that really get students ready for our programs at the state level. And so yeah, they're starting them at 12 or 11 with some levels of responsibility, and they're they're so much better prepared by the time they get to us when they're 13, like Paisley was, which isn't normal, by the way. I want to throw that out there. It's not normal for a 13-year-old to get into our program, but a testament to the caliber of kid that you've invited on this podcast. But the idea is circling back, get them started early and find those leadership opportunities and ways to have impact, and then find a mentor that is a current ambassador and say like, well, man, what would your path look like, and how can I, can I emulate some things that you were doing? I'd be chasing down Paisley and saying like, what, hey, what, give me the cheat code here. I need this. Let me develop. Paisley, do you have any additional thoughts there?
Absolutely. Love that you associated me with the pooper scooper guy. That's great. But totally kidding on that. But yeah, TYLA is amazing. I actually loved it so much. I served as a mentor this past summer at the Texas A&M short course. I got to relive it. They changed up a few things. I loved reliving it from a mentor perspective. It was great getting to see others experience it firsthand. I loved being in the cooler again. It was very cool to experience that. and just getting involved. I mean, truly contacting your county extension agent. In our county, we have Clover Kids. We also have mini ambassadors, which we just started. It's ages 10 through 12, and they basically serve just on the county level. And throughout the county show, they work with our two county extension agents. They work in each ring, and they help organize the sale and keeping everything organized, keeping cattle up to date, making sure everyone's in line. And me and six fellow ambassadors helped start the mini ambassador program. It's just on the county level, but it's great to get them started when they're younger, so then when they get older, when they're going into high school, they can get involved with TYLA, and then eventually get into the Norman Borlaug program as well. So just getting involved and trying to do your best to be eager and learn and ask questions is the best way to get involved with livestock.
Paisley, I didn't know that. You just made my night. That is incredible stuff. And it's such a great question you asked, Callie, because the one thing that is not well publicized, but we communicate heavily with our county extension agents because a kid can be really good for us on the state level, but not putting the work back home. And so back to your original question of like, why did we start it? We started it to make the county experience better because we understand if we lose Paisley Grotsky when she's 10, we don't get her when she's 13. And so having someone like Paisley in the county and developing an innovative new program for 10 and 12-year-olds helps solve that problem and ensures that the pipeline is going to be healthy and we're going to continue to pull in and keep those quality students that we're chasing and keeping them engaged in our program. So, man, I really like how this kind of tied a bow on our conversation today, and Paisley got us there. Good job.
Yeah. Yeah. Paisley, I've always been impressed with you, but I've learned so much that I didn't know.
I don't know why I ramble a lot, but I'm glad I impressed y'all. But that's great. I had a very good time in the podcast today. I'm glad we wrapped this up really well. I enjoyed this a lot. It was great to get to speak about how great the program is and how I have a passion for it. I certainly love TYLA, and I'm very excited to apply it to the future ahead of me.
Awesome. Well, to really put the bow on our podcast here, can you share our top 4-H tip today?
Yes. My top 4-H tip is to always ask questions. Now, no question is dumb, but just always ask questions. Staying on top of things, asking questions. You don't always have to have the final details, but ask questions, stay curious, and want to learn more, and try to apply it to everything. Ask questions. That is my huge 4-H tip.
Love that one. That's so different than anything we've heard, and I think that's really, really good, applicable. Look at you, Paisley, knocking it out of the park, time and
Look at me
time
go.
again. Well, thank y'all both so much for doing this today. I think we had a really great conversation, some things that people will enjoy hearing about and are able to take back and implement in their 4-H journey, be it parent, youth, volunteer, agent, however they're involved in the program. So just want to put a reminder out there that we talked about some of the resources today that TYLA does offer. So if you go to texasyouthlivestock.com, you'll find those resources. You can also go to the Texas 4-H website to find some resources about agriculture and livestock. They mentioned that the applications for the ambassador programs close April 15th. So make sure that you get those in on time if you're interested in that. And yeah, thanks again, you guys, for doing this today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks, Callie. Great job, Paisley.
Thank y'all.